To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is the Paranormal Ministry, and I'm your host, Sean Whittington. I'm a seminarian in the United States Old Catholic Church, and I'm coming to you live from my haunted home, my very haunted home, where I live. And I got a great show today. You all know him, you all love him. My guest is in the green room. He'll be out here shortly. And we've got a lot of cool things to talk about, ghosts, Bigfoot, who knows what we may talk about. Very interesting gentleman. So let's check the prayer urn real quick. Christy A. from Canada. Canada, offer up a prayer to guardian angels. I owe mine a lot. Don't we all owe our guardian angels a lot, and we forget about them a lot. And I'll tell you what, I already know the prayer I'm going to offer up. It's an oldie but a goodie. Everybody should know, and if you don't know it, shame on you. I actually have a copy of the prayer I'm going to offer up on my fridge. So every night before I go to bed, and I go into the fridge for that last, well, back in the day, the quick microwave of the individual Celeste pizza at bedtime. But now it's just for that last sip of water before I go to bed. I see it, and I say a prayer to my guardian angel before I go to bed. And then I see it every morning when I go in there to get my, first cup of coffee. I see it again. I say my morning prayer to my guardian angel. They're real, they're around, they're here and assigned to you to protect you. So you pray to them, you thank them, you ask for them all the time to intervene and help. They need permission for them to actually help you. So ask them if you need their help, for their intervention and for them to help you with something, and they will. And I may even talk about my guardian angel, who happens to look like Susan Sarandon, young Susan Sarandon from like original Rocky Horror Picture Show, Susan Sarandon. So that might be a story for another time. But yes, guardian angels. Let's get a good prayer out for them. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. O angel of God, my guardian dear, to whom God's love commits me here, ever this day be at my side, to light and guard, to rule and guide. Amen. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone. Psalms 91, verse 11 and 12. Alrighty. Don't forget your guardian angels, everybody. Thank you for the request, Christy. That was wonderful. And yes, don't we all? Many of our guardian angels spend most of their time like this. So yeah, keep them in your prayers. Let's check the mailbag. Terry G from Florida. Along with seances and Ouija boards, do you consider EVP sessions a form of conjuring, good or bad? That is a great question. And my guest today recently went on well, I'll let him tell the story, but he recently went out ghost hunting, and I don't think him and I have really talked much about him being a paranormal investigator, other than a lot of squatching he's done. So I'm going to ask him that question too. But real quickly, for me, back in the day when I did a lot of ghost hunting, um, I'm guilty of conducting many an EVP session. I played with more times than I care to admit the Ouija board, and had some bad experiences. Um, Attended a few seances in my day. Now I do not attend seances anymore. Definitely don't play with the Ouija boards anymore. I had some bad experiences. And EVP sessions, I also don't do those anymore, because I consider those a form of conjuring. And I don't do conjuring. The type of cases I work, I don't like to poke the bear. My presence alone is provocation enough. I don't do religious provocation. So I do walk around with my camera running, and there's very good audio on my camera, and that will pick up if there's something there that needs to get a message to me or wants to say something to me, that'll pick it up and it'll say it anyhow. I don't have to try and conjure that response. And I also usually have a good tape recorder running. And like I said, if there's anything there that has a message or wants to say something to me, usually we'll do that whether I'm asking it to, perform circus tricks for me or not. So no, I'm not. Yeah, I do consider EVP sessions a form of conjuring, but it just is something that ghost hunters do. So I'll leave that out, and we'll talk to my guest about that. If there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And if you go to the website to visit, a lot of cool things there to see. Keep in mind, my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So I know times are tough. But if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send in a small donation. I promise you, it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. Don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called the WSE course/book. On that page, you'll find the ghost store, cool things to buy in there if you go for that sort of stuff. But scroll down a little bit further, you'll run into my new autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. Don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy, though. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. So you get to help some of the most neediest children on the planet and the animals too. How cool is that? You can get the book there at the website, autographed, and it'll come to you in a house blessing kit, or you can get it a little less expensive on Amazon. Scroll a little further up, and let me remind you, what are we about 3 weeks away? 3 weeks away from God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2, Chronicles of an American Exorcist book comes out November. And there's a lot of stories that I left open ended in the first book because I hadn't brought closure to the cases yet. And I talk about those in the second book. So good time to get caught up with the first one before hopefully you run out and get the second book here in about 3 weeks. Okay, scroll a little further down on that page. You'll see the Worldwide Society of Exorcists, which I'm a founding member. I offer a 12-week online college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare, through the WSC. And this course is for those true warriors for Christ that feel a calling and a longing to want more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, circling the wagons, and putting up a good fight against, God forbid, true evil if it ever comes calling. That's the course for you. You can enroll in the course there at the website. If you'd like more information about the course before making that type of commitment, there's a Worldwide Society of Exorcists Facebook page, and you can read more about the course. Or you can just reach out to me. I'm approachable, I'm easy to get a hold of, and we can talk about if the course is right for you or not. But most importantly, please keep all of my former, current, and future students in your prayers. Alrighty, before I bring my guest on, I'm going to have because I'm a big supporter of this cause also. I'm going to have my co-producer, Zach, hop on here real quick and make an announcement about a cause that he's behind that I am also into. And there he is. And brother, you've got the floor.
It's almost like I have controls of your show. I can just pop on whenever I want.
Yeah, you could do that. And I may
But the
bring you
monkey
back.
strikes again. So, hey, everybody. First off, Sean, thank you very much for allowing me to come on and do this again. We are a little over a week away from Ian hitting and doing some devastating damage to Florida. And in at Community Pay It Forward, we work with a great mission partner called the Veterans Ranch. And what they do is they offer equine therapy to our veterans. And I don't know if anybody knows anything about equine therapy, but that's basically uh, getting these veterans onto a horse and allowing their brain just to decompress and allowing them to walk one with a horse and do some marvelous things. I often uh, uh, equate it to being on a motorcycle. You know, me being who I am, that once you get on a motorcycle, everything that's in your head goes away. You know, look, often quite seriously. You know, in my case, it kind of went away. But um, Jr. from the Veterans Ranch uh, sustained quite a bit of damage to his place. But instead of him worrying about his place, Jr. is starting. The founder of Veterans Ranch is starting a wonderful program to where he is going to put together a group of volunteers and go around their area, the places that they're allowed to get into, and help aging veterans dig out and repair their homes, cut down trees that are inside of their yards, inside of their homes, you know, wherever they may be. And they're going to do a lot of work to try to help our aging veterans, World War II, Korea, even Vietnam vets that are getting up there, and also, of course, our disabled vets. But they need our help to do this. This is going to take water. This is going to take chainsaws. This is going to take plywood. This is going to take many, many things. And they're asking for help. And we ask that you guys, if you would like to send cash to the wonderful people there at the Veterans Ranch, we ask you to go to the link below. We don't want to touch their cash. We don't want to have any more troubles when it comes to, you know, trying to add on fees when it bounces from one person to another. So if you want to give cash, donate cash, we ask you to send it to givesendgo.com/ the Veterans Ranch. Community Pay It Forward is a fundraising program. And what we do is we work with small to medium businesses all over the country, all over the world. And if you scan my little friend here, this QR code, you can go to a form, and what you can find a partner who can help you out on anything that you need. We're looking for businesses to join us as well. But if you're looking for, say, a website builder, you can go onto this code. You can find one of our website builders. You utilize their business, and they will give us a referral fee. We turn around 85% of that referral fee to missions throughout the world. Okay. People who are trying to help other people. Simply by giving a referral fee to us, you're giving a referral fee to what you care about. You choose where that money goes. We're asking you to visit our website, communitypayitforward.us. Once again, that's communitypayitforward.us. Find some of our partners, shop with them, and then turn in your proof of purchase back to us. We are donating 85% of that referral fee to JR and the Veterans Ranch for this hurricane relief, because there are so many people who are in need right now. There were over there were over 83 lives lost at my last recollection. I know that there's more. I know it's been updated, but one of the other things that we really worry about is veteran suicide. And folks, we need you to really remember this. Those people who really had nothing to live for and lost anything, they really have nothing to live for now. That's the way they're going to see it. And so we need to be there, and we need to help them out all that you can. So please give, as JR loves to say, don't you give a buck? Well, let's give a buck now. Go to givesendgo.com/ the Veterans Ranch. Or if you need equipment, if you need services, go here to my little friend, the QR code, go to communitypayitforward.us, shop with our partners. They give us a referral fee. 85% of that referral fee can go to the Veterans Ranch or any of our missions that you choose uh, to support. So, um, but we just ask that you please help us out with this and help us recover some life for some of our veterans.
God bless you, brother. You know you're on the prayer list, and anything I can do to help, I will. And equestrian therapy, I love that. What better support therapy animal could there be other than a horse? Too bad you can't bring them on the plane with you.
Yeah, well, that's yeah, yeah, you probably can. It would just be a weird plane. So, one other thing is that we have donated clothing and furniture and more, and we will be sending that stuff to Florida. We do ask for your help to help us be able to afford to do that. Right below us right now is a form that if you take and you donate to us, that money is going to go directly to helping us send clothing, housewares, toys for children, school supplies, and so much more. So we ask you to please donate what you can. Like I said before, give a buck about our veterans. So, but once again, Rev, I appreciate the time. I'll get back to my button monkey job so you can talk to Mr. Sup and we can have a good show here. But thank you guys very much. Towards the end of the show, I will put up the link again that you can go and donate cash. And please, we just ask, do what you can do. But remember, if you're not helping someone, you're hurting everyone.
Very cool. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, give a buck. Communitypayitforward.us. All right, guys, the reason why you all tuned in. What's up? I love him. I respect him. Hopefully, we won't have too many technical issues today. I'm having them with my computer, but backed by extreme popular demand. Just a really cool dude. I've known him for a long time, and he's always got some great stories to tell about his adventures hunting Biggie, and he's been ghost hunting lately too. So it being the Halloween season, brothers and sisters, without further ado, please welcome elite adventurer and my friend, Mr. KARL SUP.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here. So,
I have to tape you. I have to come up with a small script, like an intro for me, maybe to the beginning of the show or something. Have you record it and me use it because, like, and I've told you this 1,000 times. You've got the classic, and
just,
you're a handsome man too. But you got the
oh, thanks.
classic broadcast voice. You know.
Tune in tonight for the Reverend. Yeah.
So, what do we want to talk about today? I know what I want to talk about today. I want to start first with a couple of personal things. Then I want to get into your most recent ghost hunting adventure, which is very cool. I think I even have a picture to share with the audience. Then we're going to go into your most recent cryptid adventure, one that I'd never heard of before, and I've got a picture of that. But first, I want to talk about. I mentioned the Halloween season. Um, any? Are you still in Illinois or back in Arizona, or where
No,
are you?
yep, I am back in Arizona right now. So, as of last night at 10 p.m. So,
Are you a big Halloween guy? Do you like the
I
Halloween season?
huge Halloween guy. We would we were the ringleaders of the neighborhood. We would close off the cul-de-sac and have chili, and so as parents would bring kids by, we would we'd have all the decorations up, and parents could get a bowl of chili or a hot dog, and the kids got their candy, and it grew and it grew, and then we moved out of that neighborhood, and everybody wanted to know if we'd come back and run Halloween. But the new neighborhood appreciates it. So,
What are your plans this year? I mean, a lot of people for a couple of years because of the pandemic, Halloween, just basically was non-existent. But what's it like in your neck of the woods now, and what are your plans this year?
oh gosh, our neighborhood gets about 400 kids
No way.
Oh yeah, it's
Oh man.
huge. We ran it. We had 350 pieces last year, and we ran out. So,
Wow.
but there's a couple neighbors that I would put up the decorations that I have outside, some inflatables, some, playing spooky music, all that, etc. And then there's a couple neighbors in the neighborhood that go completely all out mad with animatronic figures. I'm talking like maybe 40 of them spread throughout, and it's an amazing thing. I'll probably end up posting some pictures on Facebook of those but they're already starting to set up their yards for these decorations, which are just massive. It takes them almost 3 weeks to get those set up, and then it takes them and then they leave them up for 2 or 3 weeks, and so all the way up until Thanksgiving. So
I don't know if I told you the story that my neighborhood used to be like that too, and we still do get a pretty good amount of uh, trick or treaters. But I
yeah,
also notice now the big thing is like these big vans and trucks will come by full of kids, and I know they're from other neighborhoods, and they drive through neighborhoods and they wait to see if somebody's got decorations out. Then they stop, all the kids get out, run up to the house, and when they're done, they run back, get in the truck. But everybody, I mean, I've been in this neighborhood for over 20 years. Everyone knows this is my wife and I are the freaky old ghost people, and we've got the haunted house. So there came a time where kids stopped trick or treating here because they were too scared. They would actually send the parents up to the door to ask for the candy, and the kids would just stay down on the sidewalk. So the wife and I decided probably best if we don't do it. But I have a wonderful soul cake recipe. And one year I was actually going to bake a big batch of soul cakes. And I was going to walk around to the neighborhood and going up to doors, and I was going to offer soul cakes to people. And my wife thought, yeah, honey, your heart's in a good place, but I think people, you might freak some people out doing that in this day and age. So I
sure.
haven't done that, but I wanted to. But that sounds like I might have to travel down there. I know
Oh,
the person that introduced you to me years ago was Sharon Day, who's
that's
also
correct.
a huge Halloween fanatic.
Yep.
And if I can get down there to see her home, her neighborhood, come by your neighborhood, I would love to do that. That would bring back a lot of really nice childhood memories
Oh,
because
you would.
growing up, oh yeah.
It's just like the displays that they put up are just astounding. I mean, outdoor fog machines, and it's insane. I can't compete with it. It's kind of like living next to the Griswolds. So
Speaking of Sharon, and maybe this has happened and I don't know about it, but since you and I first met, I thought, what better duo to go out? And she's now got Denny, who's had his fair
mhm.
share of adventures, paranormal, extraterrestrial, you name it. But what better duo to go out squatching together but you and Sharon? And have you two done that or even discussed doing it?
uh, we have, but schedules have never really worked out that well. But it's it's an amazing location that I have here in Arizona, and if even if you wanted to, I'd be more than welcome to take you up there. The only problem is that we're coming up on the where that area is going to get closed for the winter. So
And I'm not much of a winter guy anyhow, or an outside kind of guy.
yeah,
Camping. When I was young, I used to all the time, but not so much anymore. But this is the truth. When it comes to people, if I ever get around to either, there's people that I have since I don't ghost hunt anymore, but are on top of the list that I would still ghost hunt with them. I've got that list. I have a list of people that I would, and I'm not a big ufology guy, but if I want to go out and do a night watch, I have a list for that, people that I would do that with. You and Sharon are at the top of that list of people that I would either do either with, ghost hunt or definitely go out squatching with. and I've never done that. I've had what I believe was an experience with a Bigfoot once, but I haven't legitimately gone out on a squatching adventure. And you and Sharon are right there at the top of that list. But before we jump in, and I do happen to know personally some cryptozoologist guys that are watching today. But before we jump into that, I don't think you and I have ever talked about ghosts. And when you sent me some pictures of you recently on the Queen Mary
Yep.
and your adventure, I said, "Oh, I have to talk to him about that, especially it being we're in October." And I'm so disappointed that I never when I grew up in Southern California, I could drive to the Queen Mary within an hour, 45-minute drive. And when I was stationed in San Diego in the Navy, many times our ship would sail past it, or we would even dock at Seal Beach. And I had opportunities to go. I never, ever went. Can you believe I never went to the Queen Mary?
Mm.
But I'm going to just let you go ahead and discuss, before I bring the picture up, tell everybody, share your ghost adventure. I hate to use
Sure.
that term, but share
Yeah.
that with everybody.
Well, when I travel for work, I always try to find a location to go out looking for Bigfoot. Well, when work was sending me to Long Beach repetitively, I didn't. It was either a 3-hour drive one direction in order to get to an area I wanted to research in California, but from that location, since I was in Long Beach, and I kept planning that, and it's like it just never worked out. So I would. So then the one day I discovered that we actually had a corporate code that it was allowed that I could stay on the Queen Mary. And I said, "This is perfect. I'll at least I'd be surrounded by history, and it'd be a lot." A lot more fun than staring at the walls of a Marriott or Hilton, right? So, so we got on board the Queen Mary, and it was just myself staying that the very first week. And that very first evening, I decided to go have dinner up in the Art Deco room in the front of the ship, and that restaurant was kind of sparsely populated at the time I went to eat. So it was really just a bartender and about maybe 10 people that were sitting at the bar. And I was really the only person eating. And I ended up sitting up on this kind of mezzanine level above the bar area. And as the bartender finally comes around and he gets my order, brings a drink, brings my food. And then I'm just sitting there eating, and I'm looking at my phone and checking emails and being, typical eat by yourself kind of guy, just enjoying the 1930s, architecture. And all of a sudden, something pokes me in the back. And at first I thought it was the waiter trying to get my attention, the bartender getting my attention to ask if I needed another beer or if I needed more food but it was really hard, and it was just like a single poke, like right in my left shoulder blade. And I turned back around, and of course, not only was the bartender not there, but there was absolutely nobody seated behind me. Nobody had snuck in behind me, and it was because I could see for quite a distance. I turned back around, and I see the bartender down at the bar, and the people are just drinking at the bar, and I was like, well, okay, that answers my question, because of course, all the stories of the Queen Mary being haunted. So by the time I got back to my room, I took my shirt off and I looked in the mirror at my back. And sure enough, there was just a red dot where I was poked hard on my left shoulder blade. So the next night, I kind of ate in the room again, thinking, well, we'll see if we can get something going on again. And didn't really get nothing happened during dinner. So I'm walking back to my room, which of course, the hallways in the Queen Mary are long, and you can almost see like I'll say probably like a quarter mile, down the hallway
Yeah.
as you're on whatever level. And I turned and I started coming down this one hallway, and as I'm walking down the hallway, it was just like I can only describe it as like walking through a curtain. So all the hairs on my arm stood up and then went back down again as I passed through something. So I stopped and I said, okay. I turned back around. I walked back the other direction. It happened again. So I did it a third time. It did it a third time. So I walked down about, 30 feet from where that occurred, and I started taking some pictures. And in the 25 or 30 photos, there was actually this mist that started forming, and there was right in that area where I
That's
had
the
that.
picture that Zach has up, correct?
That is correct. So
So
I don't know if
let
you
me
could
let
zoom
me
in
tell
on it.
let me tell everybody what about this picture, because I received 4 of them. The original photo is much bigger, and it's actually like you took a selfie. It's
Mhm.
half of your face. It's in color, and it shows
Yep.
that whole hallway. And
Yep.
then the next picture is there are like 3 of them, and they've gone through different filterings.
Yep.
One, you put the red circle around the mist, but I chose this one because I like this one the best. And you can clearly see down at the end of the hall to the left of the screen. I mean, that's an apparition,
Yep.
uh, a spirit attempting a full body apparition there. And sometimes that's what you get.
Yep.
Sometimes you get them like it's a real person standing there. Sometimes just a mist. Sometimes just feet or just a head. But um, that's pretty intense. That's a great
Yeah.
photo.
Well,
And
and there was the physical aspect of it is what sent me into taking the photos. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't just like I was taking photos, or like if I'm out bigfooting, I don't take 100 photos of bushes and then circle shadows on there,
yeah,
and say it's the Bigfoot. It was like, okay, I have had a physical experience. Let me start documenting. So yeah,
and the other pictures you sent me, I mean, you've sent that picture through several different filters.
correct.
I chose that one, but I mean, it's jumps right out at you. It, and I saw those pictures before you had sent me a description of what I'm looking at. I already immediately saw
Yeah,
what was to be seen in that photo. Um, Let me ask you a personal question.
sure.
I believe, like, I've gone on many ghost hunts back in the day where, you can be in a group of people and only one person gets the cigar smell or the perfume smell or the poke. And I believe that obviously the spirit has picked that person out. But then I like to think, why did they pick that person out? And I think that people that are very sensitive to spirit, more so than others, and I believe we all are to different degrees, but there's a reason why you got poked, and there's a reason why you've walked through this spirit in the hallway, and that it lingered around long enough for you to take a photo of it.
Right.
Um, when those types of things happen to you, do you feel spiritually also feel a connection? Do you ever get
Uh,
ideas in your head like who this might be? Do you think
oh yeah.
that
It,
was the
it
same person that poked you or a different spirit?
it was a different spirit that was in the hallway versus the one that poked me. Because the one that poked me, in my opinion, was definitely a man. The one in the hallway from my feeling, was a woman.
Gotcha.
But it was interesting, and that wasn't the only, event that occurred on the Queen Mary. So when everyone at work heard about my experience and saw the photos, I got a couple of brave coworkers that the following week decided we'll stay in the Queen Mary as well. So and then my wife also said, well, I'll come along since the work's paying for the room. So we get on the Queen Mary, and my wife and I actually in the evening kind of took a stroll on the promenade deck, and it was a nice little getaway. But we were walking towards the rear of the ship, and there was like a ballroom. I think they use it for special events where you can rent it out nowadays. But we're walking down this one hallway, and there's nobody. There's nobody that stays the night. During the day, there's a lot of activity on the ship, and there's tours and etc. But at night, if you're staying on the ship, it's pretty dead. No pun intended. And so we're walking through this area, and all of us, walking past these doors, and all of a sudden I hear piano music, and my wife hears it as well, and she says, "Oh, somebody's playing piano in there," and I said, "Huh," and I opened up and I listened to hear where it was coming from. We walked up to this door, and here's and it's kind of dark in the room. There's just kind of outside light coming in through some of the portholes, and we opened up the door, and there's number one, the room's 100% empty. There's no piano in the room, and the moment we opened up the door, the piano music stopped. But my coworker was actually staying in a room right next to ours, and 2 a.m. in the morning, she said children running up and down the hallway. Maybe like 2:15 in the morning, she hears children running in the hallway. So she gets up to kind of go out in the hallway and kind of scold the children to tell them to get to bed. And they actually, she opened up her door, and like I said, you can see a quarter mile in either direction, right? She opens up the door, and there's nobody in the hallway, right? So she's a little disturbed by that, but kind of not, too upset. But she figured the kids ducked into some hall, a room or something. So she goes back to bed, and as she's laying in bed trying to fall back asleep again, she said the room got really cold. And as the room was, got cold, she kind of pulled her blankets up closer to her neck, and trying to fall back asleep, because we had to get up at 6 to start getting ready for work. And about 3 a.m., she said, with this cold, she said all of a sudden she could feel like a tingling kind of near her left ear. And then she said a voice whispered in like a British Cockney accent, and it said, "Are you asleep, dear?" Needless to say, she got up, she got dressed for work, she packed, and she checked out of the hotel and booked a room at the Marriott. So I got out there about 7 a.m. to carpool into work, and she's already standing out on the deck. She didn't even want to be on the ship. So it was a pretty funny.
And the thing about the spirit cold, there's a difference between spirit cold and, like, if it's winter time and why do they have the AC on, and the AC just kicked on, and you go, wow, this is cold, let me pull the covers up. Spirit cold's different. It's just much different, and it like gets in you.
Yeah.
So that's how you know. And so I don't blame her for her reaction there.
It was funny that very first morning, that same morning, 6 a.m. 6 a.m. in the morning, as I'm getting ready for work, before I discovered she'd already checked out. I'm in the small bathroom in the room, and I start hearing this sound. And initially, I thought it was maybe water pipe or some pipe sound, water rushing through pipes or something. And as it continued, it just slowly ramped up, just the volume and then it became really clear for about 5 seconds, and then it slowly faded away again. But it was definitely bagpipes playing, which
Very
was
interesting.
I don't believe anybody was on the upper deck.
Is there any areas on the ship that you're not allowed to go to? Because I remember, I know this was a show, and I believe it was Josh Gates was there once, and he was able to get down into the bowels of the ship and forward, about as forward as you can get. And I remember back, it was probably near the end of World War II, there was a collision that the Queen Mary was being used to transport troops, and it collided with another ship full of troops, and that ship ultimately sunk, I believe. And many, many died.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you can get down in the bowels of the ship and almost as forward as you can get, you can. It's supposedly very paranormally and spirit charged down in there. The noises you hear and the spirits and the agony and all that sort of stuff down there. Was there any areas you couldn't go to when you were there?
Yeah, you couldn't go to those areas unless you were on a tour. And then I'm not sure you actually had the same access that Josh had on that on that episode.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it was still, in my opinion, on that ship, you don't have to be in the you don't have to be in those areas in order to have experiences. And so
yeah, it's everywhere. It's infested. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then there's some people that just go and they'll tell you, I was there for a couple of nights, nothing happened. I think they go there already convinced nothing's going to happen, and maybe they do that to themselves so they are able to go there and stay. But just it far outweighs the people that I've spoken to over many years that have gone there and had these just non-believers who are now believers that have had these experiences there over the very few that have gone there and not had anything happen. Yeah, I kick myself in the rear all the time for not having gone there, and it's still on my bucket list. I'm going to have to get there and do that. But absolutely, thank you for sharing. What I want to move on to, because I know I got cryptid guys here. I remember you and I, years ago when we met, we started talking about Bigfoot, and you were had gone out squatching many, many, many times. I was just starting to kind of become a Bigfoot fanatic, and that only happened when I started doing the show. And yeah, and you and I met relatively early on after I started this show, and I'm getting ready to celebrate 7-year anniversary on the 15th of this month. So we've known each other for a while. You and I were talking about things about Bigfoot that not a lot of people were talking about back then. Now everybody talks about it, and
Right.
I've got the list here. But before we jump into Bigfoot, let's talk about you went on an adventure searching for a new cryptid, a cryptid I had never heard of. The Illinois, what's the group that put up the big plaque?
Well, it's this. I think it's the City of Alton Chamber of Commerce the
Historical
Illinois
Society or something.
Yeah,
like
the
that.
Illinois State Historical Society put
a big plaque about this creature. And then when I started researching it after you sent me information, I'm like, how did this slip by me? I had never heard about it before, but I should have known you were going to go check it out, and you did.
Yep.
You even talked to a couple of witnesses. Share with people this, and we might even have an old classic drawing of the creature, but share with people this new cryptid that I didn't even know about.
Sure. So it all started with a visit in 2013 to my cousin's farm in southern Illinois. And as it turned out, their ancestor was a man named John Russell, who was an author, an editor and a postmaster who wrote a story called "The Legend of the Pieasaw," and it was based on the fact that there was this giant mural that was near Alton, Illinois, just north of Alton, that actually was a painting that was already weathered and on the cliff face in 1673 when Pierre Marquette actually canoed down the Mississippi River, and Marquette wrote it in his journal about this painting. This drawing that's shown right now is actually the original drawing that was taken from the original cliff face, or the face of the bluff, where these paints were depicting this creature. And John Russell and his son ended up, they used ropes and actually went down the face of the bluff in order to, try to look at and examine where the paint was on that bluff. And then this is the drawing that was made from that research that they did. Later on, that bluff face was actually destroyed. So the city of Alton, because of course this was the great legend for Alton, they repainted it on a new bluff face. So there is one near Alton if you ever want to go see it, and it's a great place. But if you do get to Alton, you have to definitely stop into an Irish pub there called Morrison's. It's fantastic. Give them a little shout out to my friends there. So I had never heard of this, and I found this drawing like on the bottom shelf in a cabinet at my cousin's place, and I was like, "What in the world is this thing?" So then that's when I first discovered the Pieasaw, and I was like, "Well, it's a legend, and I'll just I'll do some more research on this legend." So here I am talking with some people in Alton, and end up discovering that I find someone who's actually a witness, and a recent witness from 2013 up near Grafton, Illinois, which is right on where the Illinois River enters the Mississippi. So let's see. I can read the interview. What I said. The sighting occurred mid-November 2013, Sunday night between midnight and 1 a.m. It was a quiet night in Grafton, and I was leaving work as a bartender. My husband was in the car and also witnessed it. And I will let you know that I did also interview the husband separately, and he actually gave a slightly different viewing of the report. It was the same incident, but because he was in the passenger seat, he had a different viewpoint, which was interesting to me. But they corresponded, and I didn't have them in the room together. So, where was the sighting? It was near this water treatment plant just north of Grafton on Illinois State Route 3. If anybody is in that area and wants to go check it out. And they were heading from Grafton to Jerseyville, Illinois. So just on the eastern edge of the Pierre Marquette State Park, right there. So just past the water treatment plant, they're driving 35 miles an hour, and this creature flew in front of the car and began flapping and flying backwards. So flying 35 miles an hour backwards, facing the windshield the entire time and maintaining its distance in front of the car. Its wings did not flap forward or come together like a bird would. The large wings moved in a pronounced up and down motion. It was positioned a short distance in front of the bumper and was illuminated by the headlights. It was close enough that I could not see the lower part of the body, and it was obscured by the front edge of the hood. Likewise, above the head, the tips of the wings were not visible in the darkness. The dark brown face was very flat and leathery, and it was scratched up looking, torn and peeling. It had very human-like eyes, but much larger, that were reddish brown and bulging out slightly. Its iris was much larger than a human, and the whites of the eyes were visible. I did not notice any beak, as the eyes were so human-like, and the leathery, worn facial skin was shocking to look at. I was focused mainly on the face as it was staring at me. Its wingspan was far greater than the width of the car. Its body and feathers were dark brown and mottled with lighter colors. The entire time, the viewing was about 5 seconds. So, and then she said it continued off to the north into the Pierre Marquette State Park there. So I go out and do I do a little bit of research. I'm like, well, I'm going to go to this area and check out her story and make sure everything, lines up with it. So I go out there looking for the Pieasaw, right? Or at least just to validate the story and the aspects, because, that's what you do, right? Everything's you have to take everything with a grain of salt. So I get up there and I start driving around in that area. And as I'm rounding one bend, I spot a tree that's been broken and twisted. And it's a definite Bigfoot type sign. So I get out of the car and I hike into the woods off the road, and I start looking at this twist on this tree, and I'm measuring it. And as I'm standing there doing this, all of a sudden there's this giant screech. And I'll start playing the video here. So there was this giant screech. Let's see if I can get the volume, make sure the volume's up. There we go. So there's this giant screech that I hear, and it terrifies me. But what do? Do I run? No, I turn on my video and I start walking through the woods, looking in the direction that it came from, hoping that it does it again, and it does. So it'll be coming up here really quick, about maybe 20 seconds. So I'll be quiet here while you guys watch this. I don't know if you could hear that or not.
Yeah. Yeah, that's creepy, dude.
and where it was over this ridge on the other. So I would have had to walk deeper into the woods and then go over this ridge. And I didn't know. And even though it's kind of seems quiet on that, I'm telling you, it was well over 100 decibels. I'd never heard anything like that in the woods before. So, and somebody said, "What did it sound like?" I said, it sounded like a giant bird. So, and since then, there's actually, I've heard that there's another person I need to interview once I get back to Alton to find out about, their encounter. But nobody was more surprised than myself, number one, to find an eyewitness, and not only that, but two, and then to encounter that as well. So.
Pretty incredible. Yeah, and me not being a big woodsy kind of guy, yeah, that would have been all it took for me to get back to the car. Yeah, unless I got my, a rifle with me. But I say that, but so many people I've talked to that have come across these unexplainable cryptid type creatures, and especially Bigfoot, and most of them are hunters, that is.
Yeah.
Many of them go out there not looking for Bigfoot and see him. A couple of them actually raise the rifle up, look at them through the telescope, and they just can't. These are seasoned, lifelong trained hunters that they take home and eat what they kill. I mean, that's what they do for a living, and they can't pull the trigger. They say it's just too human-like, and once you see it, there's just something about it. And you just can't do it. That's pretty chilling, and who knows what it is. I know there's going to be people out there that say, I've heard some common creatures make some of the most weird sounds. Like I get this, I refer to it as the banshee in my backyard out here, and I know I've got 14 outdoor cats out there now, and a couple of them got into some pretty bad fights that I had to go out there and try and break it up. And I've heard some interesting sounds, but some sounds that I just don't think that I've recorded too, and I've had people that like cat people listen to and go, "That's not a cat." I don't know what makes that kind of sound. It wasn't a bobcat. It could have very well been. I don't know any bird that makes that sound, but very, very, very large. It's not a tiny bird, whatever it is.
No.
Very large bird type thing. Yeah, and you just don't know. There's so much out there in the world that we don't
Oh,
know. And when you run into these things, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I've talked to, they say, listen, this stays between us, right? But when I did finally see Bigfoot, you know what, in my pants, because it just, what are you going to do? You see this giant
right.
who could just crush you. You don't know what it's going to do. And finally, somewhere there was a little bit of doubt. You could be the biggest Bigfoot fanatic on the planet, but somewhere, and if you've never seen him, somewhere there's that little bit of doubt in the back of your mind that maybe he isn't real, and then
Right.
you see him, and your whole world is never the same. You're never the same. Your
No,
world is never the same, and it's frightening. It's I've
it's
uh,
the same thing. I've heard people say that I don't believe in ghosts or whatever, and then all of a sudden they have an experience, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, there's either something out there, or they go into complete denial again and try to.
Well, listen, brother, I've got this, like I said, I mean, I got this list here. You and I, before I have to cut you, before we get cut off here and I have to say goodbye to you, but we were talking about all the many different tales we've heard from indigenous people regarding him. And a lot of people were talking about, now they're talking about the cloaking and the shape shifting and the infrasound and the bedding areas, not the structures, but these bedding areas that they find,
Mm-hmm.
into the interdimensional theory, and on and on and on. And we're not going to be able to get to this list, so I got to have you back. But I
Okay,
mean,
all right.
years ago, you and I were talking about so many things pertaining to Bigfoot that a lot of people weren't talking about back then, and now they are. And I personally am enjoying the fact that some of these shows, like even Expedition Bigfoot, are now getting more into the spiritual,
Yeah,
supernatural nature of this creature, which I think can't be ignored. But brother, I love you. I respect you. Will you come back?
oh, absolutely. You know I will.
I got, dude. I didn't even get. I got to one question on this the list. There's not a ton of. I got to one question. And I didn't even get to the list of things that I wanted to talk to you about. That I know you've experienced all of that. So I will save it, and I think I'm gonna have you back maybe even before the year ends.
Okay.
Um, I'm booking now for December. I wanted to talk to you about this stuff, and we didn't get a chance to. So thank you so
I
much for an hour. It's always an adventure having you on for an hour out of your busy Friday afternoon to hang out with me and the Paranormal Ministry family.
know
I
it's
love you. I respect you. God bless you.
love you too,
And
man.
I'll send
Oh
you
yeah.
some dates. I'll have you back in December.
So
Oh,
get out there and keep squatching. And
yeah.
they're out there. They're real.
All
So
right, buddy. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
love you too, man.
All right, man.
Bye bye.
Yeah. I'll be here this coming, what day is today? Friday? This coming Monday. Oh, you're going to love her. This Monday, October 10th. She's an author. She's an elite ufologist, paranormal experiencer. You all know her. You all love her. First time on the show. I'm excited. Mary A. Joyce will be here this Monday, the 10th. Don't forget communitypayitforward.us. Check them out. Help the people, the hurricane relief people. If you need some more God in your life, uh, Wednesday afternoons and Sunday afternoons, not this Sunday because everybody's at a paranormal event, but normally Wednesday afternoons and Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Pacific, Bishop James Long of the USOCC has Bible study every weeknight except for tonight, again, because everybody's at a paranormal event. Every weeknight, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific, the United States Old Catholic Church has night prayer with Bishop James Long. So that's always very, very cool to check out. I want to thank Adrian and Zach Clayton, my co producers. Couldn't do the show without them. I want to thank Things Network. I want to thank Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. I want to thank Skeleton Key Network. I want to thank PACT, little P, capital ACT, Podcasting All Coming Together channel for all simulcasting my show. Um, Much appreciated. God bless you all for that. And now it is time for bad joke, a bad joke that one of you sent in. I'm going to try to put a smile on everybody's face before I say goodbye to you all. What do you call a belt made of watches? A waste of time. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. You're all on the prayer list. God bless you all. Peace.